If I may, I would like to talk to you briefly about this. Now, this is a new product from the guys at Timber Creek. This is the Timber Creek Stalker. It's a 54-inch takedown recurve with an aluminium riser. Available poundages from 20 all the way up to 50 in 5-pound increments. It comes with a Dacron string, it comes with string silencers, it comes with a strike plate and a shelf. It also comes with an arrow rest, so you can set it up however you want it to be set up. It also comes tapped for a pressure button, should you want to include one of those. It's also tapped for a sight, should you want to include a sight or a side-mounted bow quiver. You've also got a bushing at the front to put in a stabilizer or even a fishing reel, should you want to take your bow fishing, if that is in fact legal in your part of the world. So yeah, it is a really nice little bow actually. Considering its size, I'm incredibly impressed with how smooth it is to draw. It is very smooth to draw, but being only 54 inches long, you do hit a wall at about 29.5 inches. It does stop, so it's not going to suit you if you've got the incredibly long draw lengths. But this is geared up for sort of a beginner, intermediate level archer. It comes in a really nice kit, which we're just going to have a look at now. So in fact, let's do that. Let's have a look in the kit and see what you get, and we'll look at putting it together. Okay, so this is what you're going to get when you get your Stalker. It's going to come in a nice Timber Creek bag roll. It does come with a nice arrow tube, but we are going to put that to one side just for the minute, just to make things a little bit easier. Just pop it open and just roll it out, and that's your bag roll. That's got everything you need to sort of put your bow together. So in here is your riser that we've already talked about. It's a nice 15-inch aluminium riser. And here are your limbs. Now on each limb, it's going to be marked upper or lower to determine which is the top limb, which is the bottom limb. This is the upper one. You'll see it says 54 inches, which means it's a 54-inch bow when it's all put together. And these are 45 pounds, which is 45-pound draw weight. Now it's available in poundages from 20 all the way up to 50, I believe. But yeah, so that's your limb there, like a wood core limb, black glass. And it's going to be exactly the same on this one, but this one will be your lower limb, marked up in exactly the same way. Now, the most important thing of all is the accessory pack. So let's have a look in here. So in here you've got your stringer that helps you put the bow together. I would always recommend using a stringer when putting your bow together. It's the safest way, and there's less chance of damaging your bow if you use a stringer. You have your string. It's a Dacron string, endless loop Dacron string, which I'll show you how to pop that string on your bow in a second. You've got your Allen key for screwing the limbs onto the riser, and then this is your bits and bobs. So you've got your string silencers in here, which are these Beaver puffs. Now, if you click on this video that should be floating around my head somewhere, there I will show you how to put in your string silencers. They're not strictly necessary to shoot the bow, but they do quieten the bow down a little bit. It's more of a hunting thing, but I just think they look quite cool. So I'll show you how to pop those in a second. There you have your rest and strike plate. Now, if you click around here again, there should be another video that shows you how to fit a rest and a strike plate, which is fairly simple. This bow also comes with a plastic arrow rest, should you want to shoot off a rest rather than the shelf. And that's quite simply, there's a hole in the arrow rest that you line up with the pressure button hole on your riser, and you secure that with the sticky pads, and that's how you can shoot off a rest if you want to. But yeah, so that's all the components of the bag. So what we're going to do next is put it all together. I'll show you how to put it together, and yeah, we'll get out and we'll shoot it. So yeah, well, first thing you're going to have to do is take out the bolt from the top and get the limb that says upper. Obviously, that goes on the top. So you drop it into that shoe there. You've got a plastic washer, and you've got your metal washer, and you pop your bolt in there like that, so you can screw it in sort of finger tight to start with, and then start using your Allen key. Now, when putting this together, you don't want to put it in too tight. You don't want to over tighten it, so you want it to be tight enough, but you don't want to really over tighten it because you could damage your bow. So that's as simple as putting in the first limb. Like I say, it was quite simple. We'll do the same with the bottom. So you just locate it in there. The holes should all line up perfectly anyway. So then you've got your plastic washer, your metal washer, and then your bolt. So screw that in like that. Again, you don't want to go too tight, you just want to go just tight enough, you don't want to overdo it. So there we go, that's your bow put together quite simply. All that's left to do now is pop your string on, pop a knocking point on your string. You can use a little brass knock, or you can use a tie-on knock. I personally prefer the tie-on knock, which again I will show you another video on how to tie a knocking point onto your string. So yeah, let's show you how to put the string on the bow, and then we'll go and shoot it. So before we go outside and shoot the Timber Creek Stalker, it's important to obviously put the string on the bow. Now, when you're looking at your string, there are two size string loops. You've got your big string loop and you've got your little string loop. Now what you need to do is grab your bow. The big string loop always goes on the top of the bow. Your little string loop goes on the bottom. Just like that. Then you grab your stringer. Now stringers come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but they all generally do the same sort of thing. This one has a nice little pocket. That little pocket goes on the bottom of the bow. Feed it through, and then at the other end you've got a little saddle. You drop that little saddle on the top of the bow, on the top limb, behind the string. And then it's just a simple case of standing on that strap on the floor. If you're finding the bow's coming up too high, then use 2 feet on the strap just to keep that grounded on the floor. And all you need to do is hold that in place and then just gradually pull up on the bow, taking the tension out of the bow, and then it's just very easy to slide that string up onto the string groove on the knock of the tip of the bow there, and then relax down, and then that's it. That's your bow strung, nice and simple. Now to de-string it, you have to do exactly the same, but sort of in reverse order. So you pop that little pocket on the bottom limb again, saddle just on the top, 2 feet on the ground, just take the tension out of that bow, put a little bit of pressure just on this strap here, just gently lift up, and then slide your string off, and then gradually come down again, and that's your string off your bow. So it's very nice and simple, very quick. So let's string that back up again and go and have a play with it. Okay, so we've got the Timber Creek Stalker all put together, strung up. We're almost ready to get out and shoot it, but before we do, there are a couple of bits and bobs you're probably going to need that's going to help you get shooting. First of which is arrows. Now, if you've got the bow set up like I have to shoot off the shelf, then you're going to need arrows with feathers on. This is a Timber Creek premium wooden arrow, but yeah, if you've however you opted for the plastic arrow rest, then you could shoot an arrow with a plastic vein with no problem at all. But I just prefer the shelf. I think it's a little bit more traditional, and it just suits the way I shoot a little bit better. Second of all, it's going to be a glove or a tab. Now that's going to protect your fingers when you're shooting. You don't want to, if you shoot without a glove or a tab, your fingers are going to get very sore very quickly. So a glove or a tab is perfect for that. You just want to make sure that it fits your hand. If you can try them out, that's probably best, because everybody's hands are different size and it's difficult to judge. But yeah, you just, especially with the glove, you want to make sure that your finger fits the glove properly. You don't want sort of any sort of baggy excess leather at the end of your fingers, because that could help, that could throw your shot off and not give you a very smooth arrow flight. So that's the second thing you're probably going to need to pick up. And thirdly, last but not least, is the arm guard. Now, I recommend getting an arm guard if you're new to archery, because especially if you're new, you're gonna get some string slap. You're gonna catch your arm on the string, and if you're not used to it, it really does hurt. So an arm guard's gonna stop that and keep your arm nice and bruise free. There are archers out there that don't need an arm guard. They shoot in such a way that the string doesn't come into contact with the arm. But if you're just getting into the sport, then definitely I would pick up an arm guard. That's gonna keep you safe. So without further ado, let's look at the best way to start putting some arrows down range as safely as possible. So when you're out shooting, whether that be at your club or in the garden, it's always important to apply a rule of common sense. Never shoot downrange if there's someone behind the target. Be mindful of your surroundings and just be sensible when you're shooting. Archery is incredibly safe and it's a lot of fun, but you just need to sort of be switched on while you're doing it. But saying that, let's talk of a couple of different ways of getting your arrow from here down to the target. So the first way a lot of people are taught to shoot is you knock the arrow between the two knocking points, as per usual. Then you take 3 fingers, place them below the string. You can close one eye, you can keep one eye open, it doesn't really matter, but you draw the bow up to a comfortable place on your face. That's called your anchor point. So you look at looking down the arrow, you're using the arrow as a sighting aid. You bring that arrow up to your eye, you look down it, and then let the arrow go, and that's roughly where it's going to go. That's one way of doing it, but the way I prefer to do it, I'm an instinctive archer. You've probably heard me bang on about it enough. I use a slightly different way of shooting. Now, I use a Mediterranean release, which instead of 3 fingers below, it's 1 finger above and 2 below. I keep both eyes open. I look at what I want to shoot. You can almost imagine pointing at it with your index finger of your bow hand. If you think that as almost like an aiming device in itself, wherever your finger's pointing, that's roughly where the arrow is going to go. So I keep both eyes open. I look at what it is that I want to shoot, come to my anchor point, and just let it go. And that's a very simple way of shooting, getting the arrows to go in the right direction. You can either use the arrow to look down and use that as a point, or focus on what it is you want to shoot at, point at it with your finger and let it go. I mean, that is by no means a comprehensive way of shooting. It's just something for the beginner archer who's just picked up this bow for the first time and wants to get out shooting and wants their arrows to go roughly in the right direction. So I hope you found that useful. This has been the Timber Creek Stalker. It's a 54-inch takedown recurve. I found it really smooth, actually, considering its size. You'd think a sort of a lower end bow like this would be horrible to shoot, but it's actually not. It's very smooth to shoot, considering its size. You'd think you'd get a little bit of finger pinch with it, but it's actually not too bad at all. So for a 54-inch bow, I'm quite impressed with that. However, I mentioned it before, it does have a stopping point. At about 29.5 inches, you do hit a bit of a wall. So yeah, it just almost stops dead. So yeah, it's not going to suit those for with extremely long draw lengths. But for me, it's actually a really nice bow to shoot. So I hope you found that useful. You take care, shoot straight, and I shall see you on the internet. Bye bye. A lot of people I've seen do it tend to do it sort of without the string under any tension, and then you get kind of long, baggy balls, and I'm not into that at all. I like a nice tight ball. So I'm going to show you how I fit these. With anything within archery, there's a million and one ways to do it. This is just the way I do it. But